The Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net.
You can't control what's outside your home, but you can control what comes in. Because Clorox disinfecting wipes kill 99.9% of viruses and bacteria, including COVID-19 virus, when used as directed on hard, non-porous surfaces. So whether it's from dirty doorknobs, dirty shoes, or something else, outside germs won't stand a chance. When it counts, trust Clorox. Kill Pseudomonas, Salmonella, and influenza virus type A2. Kill SARS-CoV-2 on hard, non-porous surfaces. Use as directed.
If you look around, you'll see the world can be pretty smart. Okay, very smart. At Capella University, we think education should be smart too. That's why we're reshaping online learning with our FlexPath format. You can set your own deadlines, take classes at your own pace, even leverage your previous experience to move faster. So when it comes to earning your bachelor's degree, you know what kind of choice to make. A smart one. Visit capella.edu to learn more. Capella University. Don't just learn smarter.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthma Core Studios near Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, man.
It's the Weedsman Podcast.
I have no idea what's going on.
And now,
you have smoked yourself retarded.
Here are the Weedsmen.
You want to get high?
All right, it's 3:04. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron.
Hey, wasn't that like pager code? Someone calling you a hoe? That's what I remember.
Was it?
304.
I never knew any of the pager codes. I never used it for that.
I had a too. Like you ain't nothing but a 304.
I had a pager for like 6 months, and then I got a cell phone.
Oh wow, dude! I was one of the. Dude, I held out. I had a pager in the year till 2002.
Damn.
I had a pager till the end of 2002, from like 93 until I was one of the last holdouts, and then when payphones started disappearing, it's really why it got harder and harder for me to find a payphone.
You were using it for its original intended purpose, which was drugs.
Actually, no. Quite honestly,
I know.
It was how your friends got a hold of you. Yeah. You know, hey, give me a call. And once payphones started disappearing, it's like, okay, well, I guess I got to get one of these cell phone things.
Yeah, I had some AT&T beast of a phone that was just like all battery, and you could club somebody with it.
Like the Zach Morris phone, or
it wasn't.
Maybe
it wasn't
smaller.
It wasn't the full on. No, not like the early '90s phones. I remember my dad had one that had the case. It had a briefcase, like.
Yeah, my dad had a bag phone too.
Yeah, bag phone.
The antenna to fold it out, and you had to plug it into a cigarette lighter.
Yeah, but that's because he was working
$95 a minute.
Yeah, he had to go out. He was out on jobs. He works in steel, so occasionally he'd have to go out and check out the site.
See, for us it was for like emergency. Like my dad got it for my mom, like just in case anything happened and she wasn't near a payphone. And like for us it was like emergencies only.
Everything feels like a throwback right now. Actually, I'm smoking a joint of like the shittiest weed I have smoked since
analog weed.
Probably the time I went to Mexico on my honeymoon, when I got sold a bunch of, it was basically just leaves. The guy just gave me a wad of leaves in some tin foil. After driving around, I nabbed a cab driver and said, "Hey, do you know where I can find some weed?" And he's like, "Yeah, get in." He drove me around, took me a guy who was willing to sell me leaves for $20 in American cash.
You go, gringo.
Yep. Smoked that shit and got a headache.
Dude, you're trusting. You got in. Was it never go to a second location?
Well, I figured the taxi was just like the one location. Right?
True. I'd be like,
the taxi is the location, so wherever the taxi goes, I'm good.
Like, I got money.
I'm still not at a second location until I get out of the taxi.
I got money. I'll be here. You call me when you bring him here. I'll give him money. But you're in another country at the, exactly in the position to call shots.
Yeah.
So the world's shittiest joint.
I'm smoking a shitty joint. It looks good on the outside. It looks like a fucking hooter, man. I thought I was going to get totally baked off of this thing. It's all covered in keef and shit. It's in a fucking raw cone. And it is like bullshit. Like, I think it's oregano.
You got this from the rec place?
I did.
I didn't know dispensaries were allowed to sell shitty weed.
I'm also drinking Mountain Dew at the moment. Another reason why I feel like I'm in a flashback.
Oh, wow. No, there's a can of Surge in my house right now because I have a 19-year-old staying here.
Yeah. My daughter turned 14
yesterday.
And she likes Mountain Dew. I let her have some as a treat now and then. But I'm like, you don't need to be drinking that on the reg.
Yeah.
Yeah, the joint was from the recreational place. I went up there to get my shit, and there was a long line of people because they're out still doing curbside. And it hadn't moved in a while, and then some guys came out and just started passing out these pre-rolls, saying, thanks for being patient. Sorry for about the wait.
Here's some shitty weed for free.
Yeah. I think it's illegal, right? You can't just give it out.
Well, they did.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure it's illegal. I don't think anyone's going to turn them in. Although, considering how shitty this weed is, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody was like, man, fuck them.
Yeah. Hey, man. Thanks for the shitty weed.
I don't mean to be a total dick about it. Like, I got this joint for free. It's cool. I'm a little bummed because it looks like it's a typical, like, just, I don't know, how much is a good PR? $5, $10? It looks like...
At least.
Yeah, it looks like your run-of-the-mill, decent PR that you would get. And that would probably get you fucked up. And it turns out it's like really bad stuff. Oddly bad. Like, how did this in this day and age even get processed anywhere?
Who brought in this bullshit weed?
Right. Usually they make the PRs with the shake. You get a bunch of high grade weed, you process it, you package it, you got a bunch of shit left over, you throw it into a cone, you roll it in some keef, you slap a presidential sticker on it, and it's $12.50. And it's like almost entirely profit. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. Like, I'm not knocking the practice. I think it's a great way. Like, if McDonald's could sweep up beef and onion scraps and wad it into a ball and sell it to people for $5 and they loved it.
Bet it would be delicious.
If people liked it and they're using up all their product and they have less waste, then I would be like, that's great. That's a great idea. Go ahead and do that.
Beef and onion ball sounds like a kitchen project for me.
But, like, this is just, like I was saying, like, oddly bad. Like, did you buy this from the government? Did you buy this from some kid in his basement? It's, like, disgustingly bad. Like, so bad that it was... Unless they're just getting, like... You know what this probably is?
What's that?
I bet
CBD
you this
weed?
is... No. It may be. I mean, it's not really getting me fucked up, and I've almost smoked half this thing. I bet you it's all the shit, like, after they process the plant material and extract some of the THC out of it for the concentrates. This is probably the shit left over.
So, I don't know. So they basically we squeezed all the good shit out of it, but here's a joint.
Right. It'll smoke. I mean, how am I... Also, the keef on here is of an odd color as well. It's really dark. So I don't even know what this is. I'm smelling it. Oh. Oh my God! You know what it smells like?
Oh boy. What?
This is made of roaches.
They're pet.
I swear to God, I wish we were recording in the same room so I could give this to you and you could confirm that this smells like a joint that you would roll out of a bunch of roaches. It smells exactly like that.
Hey, here's a free roach joint, everybody.
This is like, they broke up a bunch of roaches, rolled it into a joint, and then rolled that joint in all of the ash and crumbs that fell off of the roaches when they broke them up. That's exactly what this looks, smells, tastes, and smokes like.
Well, that sounds like that sucks.
I know this much. I am never buying flour from this place. You know, they're not making the concentrates.
I haven't bought flour since the last time you came over.
Yeah, same. And we're probably buying a lot of the same carts because, you know, what are some of the brands that I've seen popping up?
I get Royal Highness. That's my new shit.
Oh, Royal Highness? I think I've seen that. MKX is the one that I have now. Fuego was one of them.
Fuego's bullshit. MKX is all right. It burns a little fast for my taste. I think it's got what's the shit that can give you cancer in it? The butane. Also, they also didn't service. They told me they were going to service their product, and they didn't. I bought a cartridge from the dispenser. This was like over a year ago, and I went to go take it off. My battery or whatever was dead, and I went to go take it off, and the fucking bottom came off, and like all the oil came out. And I sent them a picture, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we'll take care of that," and then never heard from them again.
Wow.
So I got beef with MKX, and then that Fuego burns too fast and isn't potent, in my opinion. I like Platinum vapes. I like
the Platinum
Royal
vapes,
Highness. And I also like Presto. If you ever
I haven't heard of that one.
But to me, the three I named to me are the three that burn the slowest. Royal Highness, Platinum Vapes, and Presto. Everything else burns too fast. I will say, like, the added kick from the butane in the MKX, and maybe they've changed it. I remember MKX seemed to be a little bit. It hit you a little harder. And then again, I think that might have been the things in it other than the weed helping it hit harder.
Well, that's the thing. Like this one, there's some other shit going on in there. They're adding some kind of flavoring. And I've gotten a few of them like that have, like I said, I think we talked about one of them was like some sort of Christmas cookies or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you know, we see cookies in the name all the time when, you know, in the different varieties of cannabis. It doesn't mean that I'm expecting, you know, a joint of that shit to taste like cookies. But in this, they added shit to it to make it taste like cookies. And I'm like,
that's for the kids.
That's
man.
not what the fuck are you doing? First of all,
they like that shit. It's. Trust me, I had one called birthday cake. It tastes like birthday cake. I was like, "What is this? Why does this taste like
nonsense.
weed?
Why are you putting flavoring in the cannabis? This is exactly what we're talking about with all this. I mean, I understand it with the vape. I'm not going to get vape that tastes like a cigarette because cigarettes don't taste good, just like alcohol doesn't taste good. It's something that you get used to because you like the other shit that comes with it.
Yes.
And I'm not going to if I'm going to switch to vape, I'm not going to switch to something that tastes like a cigarette. That would really defeat the purpose. Might as well just quit. But I enjoy vaping, and I find flavors that are relatively mild and tend to just, you know, just get pushed into the background where I'm not even like actively tasting it. But, you know, also with all the regulation that we're talking about with, you know, let alone, I mean, consider what we've gone through just to get to this point with cannabis. And now they're talking about taking our flavored vapes away from us because, you know, everyone likes sugary, candy flavored stuff. And, people think that only kids are going to buy that shit. So you putting flavors in your vape, I mean, I understand that there are adults that like that. We don't need it. They don't need it. I certainly don't need it. And the other people, like, what's your fucking problem? Just fucking chew some fucking bubblegum vape and enjoy that with your cannabis. You don't need to make your cannabis taste like the candy as well.
I feel like when Dennis Leary ran it about coffee-flavored coffee. You know, you just give me weed-flavored fucking weed.
Right. Yeah. That's basically it. And you got to figure, like, you're paying, it's concentrate, right? What you're paying for is, like, almost predominantly THC.
Yes.
So everything that you add to that is taking away from the amount of THC that you can put in my product.
Yeah, stop putting in shit to fuck with my buzz.
I want black, dark coffee, and you're offering me coffee that already, you know, is like cut with creamer, like 50%, and have sugar dumped into it.
Yeah. But whatever, right? It sells apparently.
I mean, I don't know how much. Like, I've been running into them less and less. It seems like I got 2 of them when they had a deal. They had a sale on some of them, and so I ordered the ones that were on sale because I'm cheap, and they were both flavored. And I was like, well, maybe this means at least that these things are going out of fashion and they're clearing these out of their inventory. Because I think, whereas there probably are, like I said, there are people that enjoy that, but I think most people, you're not paying it that much attention to the name in that way. You know, it might have cookies or grape or cake or something in the title that refers to a flavor. But again, we see those names all over. We don't think Gorilla Glue is going to taste like Gorillas and Elmer's Glue.
Right.
You know, we just think it's, okay, they have to come up with a name, and here's a weird name for a strain, you know? And all this stuff about, like, you know, how many reviews have we read about, like, Girl Scout cookies reminiscent of, like, peanut butter or the Do-si-dos? I'm like, no, it's not. It
tastes like fucking weed.
Tastes like weed, yeah. Right? Like,
sometimes
it might be a little fruity.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might be a little vegetable-y. Sometimes it might be super skunky. But it never tastes like candy. It never tastes like anything sugary or candy or anything like that.
Yeah, I've learned to pick up on, like, the lemons, the diesels, the pines, the things like that. But yeah, I've never hit this and be like, this tastes like chocolate.
Yeah. So I just don't think that people are expecting that. I imagine they're probably getting a lot of people going, why the fuck does this taste so weird? Why doesn't it just taste like cannabis?
Right.
Or THC? Yeah. Or, I mean, what does that even taste like? Like, mostly what we're tasting is the stuff that they use, like the butane, like you were saying.
Well, I try to get the stuff that doesn't.
Yeah.
The butane carts seem to be going the way of the dodo here.
Yes.
When I first got my card, they were out a lot, but it seems the distillates seem to be showing up more and more and more.
The distillates, but then also the live resin stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried the live resin, the cartridges?
Yes.
So what's your take on them? Because they're either as much or a little bit more than a 1 gram cart of the distillates, but they are also half of it. They're a half gram. But I know that they're more concentrated as well.
6 of one, half dozen of the other, man. I'm ahead.
Yeah, it all works out the same.
Yeah. Like, I'm still going to go through it at the same clip that I'd go through the gram of the oil.
Did you notice was there a big difference on taste?
No. It tastes like the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
So.
Well, I'm going to stick with the 1 gram then, because I just visually, it looks like I'm getting more. It's bad enough that I, spent $75 for 1 cart today.
Good God, man.
All in? Absolutely.
Is this like 98% THC? Or is it just how they get you at the rec dispensary?
It's 89% THC according to the sticker.
Okay.
But, it's 60 for the cart, 6% sales tax, 10%, whatever their sin tax, whatever they call the sin tax on it. And then because I used my card, because I only brought $60 with me in cash. I had to use my card, which means that they had to charge me like a 4% on top of that to use the card. I'm
Man,
like,
speaking of cards, I am going to renew my card
when you guys
again.
get some real fucking competition, like this shit is not going to fly. You're not going to just pass on your credit card bills to your customers, and you're not going to be gouging the recreational side. And I'm such an honest guy. Like, I went up, the guy came to get my order, and he was like, medical, right? I was like, this guy's never seen me, because I've ordered from them before, but that was the first time I went to their place. Mm-hmm. And I was like, no, recreational.
Well, eventually, they'd ask for your credentials. You'd get found out. No, because that happened to me in Oregon.
Because they have to record it, right?
Yeah.
At some point, they're like, oh, let me see your card. I have to write down your number. Oh, shit, I left it at home.
That happened to me in Oregon, one of the first times I went there. They accidentally sold me a medical product, and then I went back I went back again trying to get it, and the guy was like, "Oh yeah, I sold this to you last time." Medical guy, right? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And then tried to buy it, and then he asked for my credentials and saw I was from Michigan. He's like, "Oh, this is Michigan cards?" Like, yeah. He's like, I shouldn't have done that last time. I'm like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
I stopped pushing it there. I was like, all right, well, I got this far. He almost sold it to me again.
Yeah, but you're not a dick either. Like, you don't. I mean, you'd hate to see the person like have their job in jeopardy, or it's like shorting somebody on their cash register. Like, you've worked a register before.
Yeah.
Somebody gives you an extra $5. Like, what are you going to do with that?
Yeah, I ain't trying to get you fired.
Right? I'm going to go buy 5 Snickers right now and eat them all and just laugh. Like, no, you're going to think about that person counting down their till at the end of the day and going, oh, fuck, that $5 has to come out of your pocket in most places.
Yes and no. Part of me would be like, learn to count, motherfucker. Thanks for the $5.
Well, that's true. That would also be dependent on your experience in general at the place. Like, if the person was really nice and you had a pleasant experience, then you'd feel bad. The person was like shitty and you had bad service, then you might be likely to just walk away with $5 and go, fuck you.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. If the experience was pleasant, like, oh man, this person's going to have to pay this $5. They were a dick, like, hey, thanks for the $5, asshole. But I'll tell you what, man, every time you tell me about the rec dispensary experience that you have, you just keep talking me into renewing my med card one more again.
I know, right?
Dude, like, you tell me what you pay. I hate to pay over $35 for a cartridge. If someone tells me $40, I'm like, really? Like, all right, I guess.
Yeah, I'm getting raked over the coals.
But again, I told you, I've traveled to other states, dude. It's in line with other states' rec prices, so I guess it is what
I don't know.
is.
Well, the thing, so there was a place that's about a 15 to 20 minute drive in the other direction that I was going to before everything, right? Like pre-pandemic.
BC, before
Yes.
COVID.
But you remember life? Anyway.
Remember February?
Yeah. Yes. So I was going to that place. That was one of the first places to open up in my area. And their prices were not so bad. I was paying like $45 to $50 for a cartridge. Then, as soon as the pandemic hit, they had to change their business and everything. I get it. Competition's not all that great yet because it's still an early market, and you have a lot of business costs involving restructuring, to service your customers in this new era. So, yeah, I mean, they quickly shot up to $60. I think the place I was going to originally had to shut down because I got a notice from them today that was like, hey, we're back in business. So I'm hoping that'll at least bring some competition into my local market and do something. Because, like, right now, they send out a notice to you, right? Every day, this place that I've been ordering from goes, here's the deals of the day.
Oh, you get your text messages?
Yep. And so it's like, here's recreational. and it's like 5 things. Here's medical, and it's just like a CVS long receipt of shit that you can get.
Yeah, it is.
And it's just ridiculous. And it's not even, I tried to I was like, oh, you got these carts for $40. Let me get one of those. He's like, oh, no, it's recreational. I'm like, it's not under rec. And he's like, everything from here on down is medical. I'm like, oh, so only these 5 deals are for recreational. But yeah, they're like, what, they don't have to, right? There's no need for them to do anything right now to keep the recreational customers, because people are just going to go to their place because the next closest place is like 45 minutes away.
Yeah, right now it's like, well, what other it's like the situation of, well, what other electric company would you like to use?
Right. In a year or so from now, when I can have a choice of places, there'll probably be 4 places within 15-minute drive of me. It'll be a totally different story, but that's all right. I get it. Like I said, I'm satisfied with this place in general. But that's only because I've been getting stuff that is the same stuff that you're getting. I've just been getting cartridges. Mm-hmm. There's no difference in the product that they offer for the medical and the recreational when it comes to the concentrates. They have the same limits, the same constraints. So that has nothing. At that point, they're just a retailer. If I'm talking about going to them for bud, them handing me a joint full of roaches is not going to entice me to come back there when I want that experience of sticking my nose in a bag full of skunk-ass weed.
Yeah. They didn't exactly give you. I remember that place that gave me that shitty joint. I'm going back there. It was not a good. It doesn't sound like a good advertisement for their product.
And it's even it's labeled like this was a thing for sale. This was in a tube.
Damn.
And it says Tarantula, 1 premium pre-roll. Premium, dude.
Premium bullshit. Maybe you just set it on fire in the middle of your desk and just inhaled. Maybe it'll work better that way. You have like a little Viking funeral for it on your desk.
Wow. I mean, I'm not a snob or anything.
I feel like this is...
I've smoked...
Oh, wait. Wrong one. No. That's what I was trying to hit.
Yeah. I keep going back to it.
Every time you exhale, that's all you hear.
Yeah. I mean, I've smoked... I've, ghost rode the whip. I've smoked the empty bowl. I've, scraped numerous devices to smoke their contents. I've broken up many different things. I'm not picky in general. So, and I'm no stranger to smoking harsh byproduct, but it's the wolf in sheep's clothing type of thing, I guess. Maybe that's not the right analogy. Look, it's the hot chick with halitosis.
Right. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it's because I hear you, because there'll be a lot of times we'll be in a dispensary bitching to the bud tender about something, and I'll go, wait, but we're sitting here in the weed store talking about this, so I guess it's all perspective, huh? And then they go, yep.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, if the guy handed me something that looks like he rolled it with his left hand while driving and was like, here you go, man, this is just for the weight, I'd be like, oh, cool. And I would have probably smoked it right there in line and moved on with my day. But this looked special. I was saving it. All day. I was like, I'm not going to smoke the joint. I'm going to save it for the show, and it'll be just like old times when we used to smoke joints when we could get together.
Yeah.
And share a joint and record a podcast. I was so looking forward to it.
Yeah, my sister-in-law wanted to share a joint. I was like, I'll roll a joint.
Oh, yeah.
Even though she's been here for 3 weeks, came from New Jersey, everything's fine, but still I was like, I don't know how down I am with sharing things with people that aren't my wife.
Right. It's a
Thanks a lot, COVID.
It's a social algebra that's going to change a lot of things, and little decisions like that are just going to change the way we interact overall. Because everything will be put in the perspective of what are we risking, right? Where we weren't even thinking about that before. You know, when you drive a car, you have an idea of what you're risking. You know how crazy people can get. You've seen the videos or possibly in real life been involved in some crazy accidents. So you get it. You're not actively thinking about it all the time, or else you would never drive, but you understand the risks. You know, communicable disease we weren't thinking about that as a risk at all. What's the risk? I get to stay home from work for 3 days?
Yeah. No, yeah, now it's...
And now when like the simplest interaction, and it might not, you even thinking rationally about, like, I know how this disease is transmitted, and this action would not put me at risk. Still, why risk it? Even when there's no risk and your brain knows there's no risk, there's a littler part of your brain still going, why risk it?
Yeah.
I just walked to the other side of the street. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't talk to that person.
Yeah, it's been an interesting year. And it's only half over.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
Look in your home. Look in your office. Look in your home office. Everywhere you turn, there's so much smart. At Capella University, we think education should be smart too. Our game-changing FlexPath format puts you in control of your master's degree, so you can learn how, when, and where you want. Smart, huh? Yeah, we think so too. So if you want to take the next step in your career, make Capella your first step. Visit capella.edu to learn more. Capella University. Don't just learn smarter.
Imagine the greatest collection of real-life entertainment on the planet, all in one place. Go ahead. Dare to stream with Discovery Plus. Stream now. Stream what you love.
If you look around, you'll see the world can be pretty smart. Okay, very smart. At Capella University, we think education should be smart too. That's why we're reshaping online learning with our FlexPath format. You can set your own deadlines, take classes at your own pace, even leverage your previous experience to move faster. So when it comes to earning your bachelor's degree, you know what kind of choice to make. A smart one. Visit capella.edu to learn more. Capella University. Don't just learn smarter.
Of all the streaming services out there, only one is different. Discovery Plus. It's the greatest collection of real-life entertainment on the planet. 55,000 episodes of food, love, true crime, home, from networks like TLC, HGTV, and tons more. Yes! With stars like Chip and Jo, an exclusive new series from 90 Day Fiancé, all in one place. Bam! Discovery Plus. Stream now. Stream what you love.
ChristopherMedia.net. The Weedsman Podcast.
So you got a Jerseyite staying with you, huh?
Yes. And also a 19-year-old.
Oh, shit.
I feel like we got like we got a real live young person.
Teenagers, man. Oof. I got 2 of them now.
It's been interesting. It has been interesting. Yeah, but you have 2.
Have they switched gender since they moved in?
No.
Okay.
But you also
they do that on you.
But you have 2 children that you have had a hand in raising. This is my sister.
I'm going to start a newsletter for mine.
This is my sister-in-law, and this is too, and it's a 19-year-old, and it's just, oof, it's. But by the way, she knows. By the way, when she got here, she proudly announced to me and Mandy that she doesn't believe in edibles. To which I looked at me like, what? Like you're Santa Claus or ghosts? What do you mean you don't fucking believe in edibles?
I like, like you do understand that there are things that people can eat, right?
Yeah. I said, and
some of them fuck people up.
And it's the typical. You already know what the story is, right? Well, we bought some off these people a couple times, and they never worked. And it's okay. People lie, or things are mislabeled, especially when you do the black market. Because she got a 200 milligram edible from the dispensary, and I'm like, eat half of that. She's like, I'm eating the whole thing. I'm like, first of all, eat half, and if it's not getting you off, eat the other half. Because quite honestly, you're just gonna you pay $25 for a nap,
right?
And she did. She ate it, was moving in slow mo like a motherfucker, and then slept through most of it.
Well, I guess then you converted her.
She does believe in edibles now.
She's now a believer.
Yeah, right. It's like Tinkerbell.
Well, right. I mean, I didn't believe that opium was all everyone had to say about it because I don't know, whatever the fuck. It was like incense or something that we smoked the first time. And then we smoked some real opium and we were like, holy shit balls.
Yeah.
Which I would not recommend. Don't smoke opium, kids. Stay away from that.
You know, like Erlich Bachman, they leave you in China.
Right.
It's a deep Silicon Valley reference. Kids.
I was watching him in Deadpool. So, he plays Weasel, the bartender, in both the Deadpool movies.
Yeah, TJ Miller.
Yes, thank you. I watched both of them recently. I watched a bunch of movies with my daughter. It was her birthday, and I was like, what do you want to do? She's like, watch movies. And I'm like, you pick. So it was... Shit, I'll have to look at my list. There's been some crazy movies that she's been throwing at me. Like, she goes, out of nowhere, I want to watch Silence of the Lambs. I'm like, you're going to be 14 next week. All right. That's probably about the age that I saw it at, right? I'm not fucked up.
Okay, dude, real quick, I have to know. If she's 14, how close is your son to 18? Is he 17?
No, he's going to be 17 next month.
Good God. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, time.
I know. Well, look, you're dreading it because it's some sort of mile marker that says that you're old. To me, it means I don't have to pay for his ass anymore.
Right.
at least not through his mother.
It's true.
I'll still, let's face reality. I'll still be paying for his ass. I just won't have to funnel the money through his mother anymore.
Yeah, just won't be taken from your check. Yeah. You could willingly spend it on him now.
Right. Yeah. Well, what do you know? Expendable money that I can use to just buy things for my kids? That's a novel idea.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but part of what she wanted to watch the Deadpool movies again. And actually, this would be the first time that she's seen them all in full.
Oh, that's right. You had the dad edits.
Well, I did that with the first one, definitely, because she would have been 10 at the time, right? 10 or 11, I think, when she wanted to see Deadpool, and I was like, oh, let me see what I can do. And I tried to see if they were like, oh, maybe they put it up on TBS or something at the time, and, there's a nice cable edit I can grab. No such luck. So I just buckled down, and I was like, all right, break out Sony Vegas. Let's get to editing. And went through it and took out all the F-bombs, really, and anything stronger than that. The shits I was okay with. And then decided to not just bleep them out, but overwrite them with animal noises.
Yes, I remember. And then, too, didn't you take out the pegging scene?
Well, yeah, the pegging and the unicorn masturbating and all that. So those are scenes that she saw for the first time last night. She had no idea that there was like a 5-minute, like, it's not just a sex scene. It's like, it's a 5-minute sex montage. And while disappointingly for me, Morena Baccarin something. I can never pronounce her name correctly. She doesn't reveal her lovely breasts in that, even though she did on Homeland. They'll do it for HBO, but not Deadpool, really.
It's MCU.
It's still well. It kind of is. I guess it's TBD whether it's MCU now. It's all Disney, right? But yeah, I mean, so there's not a lot of nudity. It's just it's about as graphic as you can get without actually showing any nudity. So I went and made coffee while that scene was on. I was like, oh, the pegging? Did they just reference pegging? Yeah, I'm going to go make some coffee.
Oh, it's crazy. I need more coffee. I'll be back in about 5 minutes.
Yeah, so watching Deadpool and Deadpool 2 again, movies that I've seen multiple times. Deadpool, the first one still really stands up. it just works not just as a comedy, but it really does work as a great action movie. And the second one, not so much.
Cash grab?
I mean, it's fun. I wouldn't call it a cash grab because it was a good evolution for the character, and I like a lot of the decisions that they made. I don't think it was just made as in like, oh, whoa, people liked the first one. Let's see if we can do that again. Part of it is that, and it's the reason why I was never a big Deadpool reader in the first place, is the character has limited charm when it comes to me. Like I'll read, a nice short run of like, a 1 or 2 issue Deadpool story or something like that. But like, I'm not going to read your 36 issue, 3-year Deadpool epic. Like, I'm just not going to do it. So,
I have shit to do.
Couple-hour movie of Deadpool, yeah, it's great. And maybe part of it was watching them back to back, and I'm like, all right, I get it.
You're edgy.
Yeah. But no, they're still really enjoyable movies. They're still really fun. And while, like, TJ Miller is not great in it, I think that he's way funnier in... Silicon Valley, I think, is the best thing that he's done so far. Not being like a huge fan of his before, I was actually kind of disappointed that when I saw him pop up, I'm like, oh, really, that guy? I don't think I'm a fan of his. And then I found him actually like weirdly charming in that show, and I'm like, he's really growing on me. And while he's not great he's not super funny in Deadpool, but he does get some of the best lines. And I wonder, it kind of makes me wonder whether maybe these lines were ad libs that he did, or if they were actually written, because he's the only other character to break the fourth wall.
And he is a comedian.
Right. So Deadpool, I mean, that's his whole thing, is he's talking to the audience. Ryan Reynolds looks right into the camera and addresses us and talks a lot about being in a movie. There's all these references he references himself as Ryan Reynolds as a douchebag. He references the Green Lantern movie that he made. He references the bigger X-Men universe. He shows up at the X-Men mansion. He's like, how come I only ever see 2 of you guys? It's almost like it's all the studio could afford to pay for. It's 2 characters. And TJ Miller is the only other one who actually has jokes that break the fourth wall. And he has like one of the best lines in the first one. And there's a guy that from the Weapon X program that turns Deadpool into the thing that he is. And he meets him at the bar that Weasel works at, the mercenary bar that every comic book has. Every city's got a mercenary bar. Just in case if you ever want somebody killed, or maybe just, scare them a little, check out your local mercenary bar.
Well, yeah, it's like the bar on Tatooine, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly that, only with no live music.
Yeah.
So, but the guy shows up. He's looking for Ryan Reynolds' character, Wade, and leaves a card for him. And TJ Miller's like, that guy's looking for you. It's like, I don't know. Could further the plot. Maybe you should check it out.
So it's a story that's self-aware of itself.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's very meta. It is uber meta.
See, I enjoy that type of humor sometimes.
Well, see, like, it's no spoiler because the movie's been out for a while now, but like, there's this whole time travel montage that happens at the end of the second movie when he hijacks Cable's time travel device and uses it for his own purpose. And he does it to, first of all, save the life of his girlfriend, who dies at the beginning of the movie. And then he goes back in time and shoots himself for playing Deadpool in the Wolverine movie. Whoa. The version that was, you might have seen the pictures of it if you haven't seen the original Wolverine Origins, where he actually has no mouth. And it's this very weird, like, the studio was like, let's take the name Deadpool that we like, but make it on a totally different character. And then he also shoots himself. He like, they have a scene where they show Ryan Reynolds getting the script for Green Lantern and him going, "Oh yeah," and then all of a sudden a bullet hole appears in his head and there's Deadpool behind him. So he goes back in time. Not only, like, that's the thing, like, he shoots himself, but he doesn't. It's Ryan Reynolds, but anyway. Well, what you've been watching? Did you get, you're an HBO subscriber, right? Did you get the HBO Max?
No, because we already have, was it Go or Now or what? We pretty much.
No, dude. Yeah, but wait, do you pay for it? So Go is we
use her mom's.
What?
We use her mom's subscription for HBO.
Right. So, well, either way, then you should just be able to use the same login to log into HBO Max.
The word of mouth on it is it's a mess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it still has, it's HBO Plus, right? It's all the stuff that's on your HBO app already, plus a bunch of network shit and some extra movies and I don't know what. But so in that respect, being the same price and just replacing HBO Go or HBO Now, whichever one you're using, which Go is the one that you have if you have a cable subscription.
Yeah.
And Now is it's
the standalone. Yeah, we have Go
because if you've cut the cord, yeah.
Her mom has cable and just we use it through our Roku. We just use her mom sign in. Oh, well, I think we're talking about fraud. But no, everyone uses other people's logins for stuff.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so it can't really be a flop because they're just adding a bunch more stuff to it, right? It's just HBO with a bunch more shows added to it. So there you go. But if you're looking at this as being the competition to Disney Plus, like, man, you first of all failed horribly on messaging because the last 2 weeks I've seen nothing but stories about this describing, like, what's the difference between HBO Go and HBO Max and HBO Now? So if you can't even figure out why, if you can't communicate to your customer why you're presenting this new product.
Well, so it seems to me you already have a standalone, right? Why not just convert HBO Now into whatever the fuck this is?
Yeah. Well, I think part of their problem was that you think it would just be simple enough to say, hey, you've been subscribing to HBO Now. Well, we're upgrading, and HBO Now is turning into HBO Max.
They do what channels on cable all the time. This channel's turning into this.
But here's the difference. Because HBO straddles the line, because they have both big, healthy feet planted both in the traditional cable model and the cord-cutting model, and they're getting significant portions of their income from both sources, they have a lot of different contracts that are very complex. And they can't just flip everything like a switch over and say, everyone that's using us on an app, you're now using HBO Max and you got all this shit. Because it's not the case. They only just recently signed a deal with Xfinity, with Comcast, who I thought was like part of the same company, right? Aren't they all AT&T? Or
no, it's all Xfinity. That's all Universal.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
That's NBC, Universal, Comcast, Xfinity. It's all the same fucking company.
Yeah. So they just now, I guess, signed a deal to have HBO Max available through Xfinity platforms as well. As it's just a messaging campaign, it's been a complete failure. And the early reviews on it are that the user interface is also oddly confusing and that the library is just full of holes.
What do you mean? Define full of holes, like missing, like you think, like, be required. Like, does it not have The Sopranos? Is that what we're getting at?
No, because it has The Sopranos, yeah.
Is there no Entourage? Is it missing Dream On? I mean, I guess for me, something like HBO Max, first of all, the thing I would think of, like, everything HBO's ever done is available on here. From the Hitchhiker to fucking, what is it? I'm trying to think of something recent. What's it? Insecure.
Right. I don't think that's what it is.
Why not?
I don't know.
If you're going to call it HBO Max, why not? Why is that not a feature?
That's a very good question. I don't like what's the harm in putting all that out there, first of all? Like, okay, so you're not going to advertise, you're not going to get people to subscribe to HBO Max by going, hey, we've got every episode of The Hitchhiker on here, but at least throw it on there. Even if nobody watches it, like, it's there. What do you got to lose? I mean, I guess there is a certain, like, cost in just maintaining a library, updating it for new formats, you know, making sure that it streams properly. Somebody's got to go through and convert all those episodes off of whatever format they had them on. But that's your library. Like, this is what Netflix spent a decade building, what Amazon threw billions of dollars at striving to get.
And you've been doing it for 40 years.
What Disney has been, like, churning away at decades and decades for, to produce a library that you can put a dollar value on and go, hey, everybody, give us this much money a month, and you just get it all.
As far as I know, my entire life is about the lifespan of HBO's original programming. It's like 4 decades. They started, the late 70s, right? Late 70s, early 80s?
Yeah.
You got 40 years of original programming, HBO. What the fuck are you doing?
Did they do Tales from the Crypt?
Yes.
Too? Yeah. There was, like, not everybody had HBO back in the day. But everybody knew about that shit because everybody knew somebody that had HBO.
Yeah, because that's where you watch. You know, that's where you could watch the movie 2 years after it came out on HBO.
Not only that, they were going to show Cat People like every weekend, and that shit had tits in it. Mm-hmm. Fucking Porky's.
What I want to know is
that was where we went to see tits. Fuck that Skinamax shit.
Is this on HBO Max?
What is...
You'll know in a second. It's the extended mix, apparently.
Is this just the extended HBO intro?
Yes.
That swoops through the city?
Yes.
Right. No, that's what I was thinking, too. Like, they should just have a menu option that's like, just watch every HBO intro.
Yes, that is a great idea.
Yep. I mean, fuck, you know, it would be perfect. They're short. You can go through them. You can get some member berries. Like, oh man, oh dude. According to watch Risky Business.
Yeah, according to YouTube, this was the 83 opening credits for movies.
Dude, that fucking theme, man.
Yep. And then the lasers
That's
going
like
through the O.
John Williams shit, man.
Yep.
That would get you pumped up.
Yeah.
You're going to watch Night of the Comet?
You know what this meant? Titties. Titties were coming.
That's the thing, you know, they just don't... It used to be, unless you were trying to win an Oscar, you had to shoehorn some boobs into your movie, or else what were you doing? You're just leaving money on the table if you're not putting boobs so that guys will go out and see your movie. And now it's not that we don't put nudity in the movies anymore. It's that, and smartly so, I think that Hollywood in general just decided as a community, like, hey, you know what? We're kind of cheapening this thing, so nobody takes us seriously to the point where if you do show nudity in your movie, no one's going to think your movie's about anything serious. So they kind of had to hold back. So now I don't get boobs for no reason in my Deadpool movie. No, actually I do. I take that back. There's strip club scenes. But, so yeah, it's not completely dead. But I get a lot less boobs for no reason in the movie, right? I don't know where I'm going with this. They're
guys, you start just talking about boobs.
Yeah, I get distracted.
You start talking about boobs. You start thinking about boobs. It's like, oh, right. Damn it.
They're holding out.
It's like I try to explain to my wife about a lot of things.
Smartly, though.
My excuse for a lot of things is just like, it comes with the penis. Just to try to excuse a lot of my stupid behavior. I'm like, it comes with the dick and balls. You have no idea what it's like to have testosterone running through your veins. I just do things just because sometimes.
I think I found part of this joint that actually works. Either that or just, I'm almost at the end of it now. So I think cumulatively, it's finally working.
You just got to the oil. Hey, the oil works.
It's such a hodgepodge that I was hoping, like, oh, maybe there's just like the stray really good bud that was stuffed in there.
Right. Like all of a sudden, it's just a huge nugget of Northern Lights out of nowhere. Hey,
it's possible. You never know. So yeah, and also I guess a lot of the complaints of it's like they segment to make it even more confusing. If it wasn't bad enough that you had 4 different options of HBO to watch, when you turn on the HBO Max app, it's then segmented into like DC shows, Cartoon Network stuff.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
What? Why am I watching other network stuff on, like, just make it a Viacom app? Isn't that who owns it?
Yeah, I guess.
Like, yeah, why is Rick and Morty in my HBO?
Yeah, it's the thing, like, Rick and Morty is on the HBO app, but not all, they don't have, like, a whole library's worth of Cartoon Network on there. And Crunchyroll, if you probably haven't heard of it, but it's a big anime platform, and they have their own subscription service, and it's like, I don't know, I think it's less than $10 a month, or it might be $10 a month, but it's, like a Netflix deep library of just anime. And so you get HBO Max, they have a Crunchyroll portion, but it's just like selections of shows. It's not the actual Crunchyroll library. And there's a DC section where that's where, the next season of Doom Patrol is going to be, as well as some of the other movies like Superman and Batman movies that you can find also on the DC app. But it doesn't replace your DC subscription. So, I mean,
this just sounds like a mess.
Right. And if I was to try and guess at why this is the mess that it is, because I think ultimately they do want to fold it all into one, right? But their IP is all over the place. And, they've already, if people are already successful, they're making money off of the DC app or the Crunchyroll app or a Cartoon Network subscription or whatever, that's why they don't want it to replace it completely. They don't want to go, oh, we're going to charge $15 for HBO, but it's now called Max and it's got more shit. But then that means that everyone cancels their Crunchyroll subscriptions and DC subscriptions, because now for only like $5 more, you've got the whole HBO library.
Well, like, I know we talked about it, we've talked about it over the course of the show, like, complete a la carte TV is the dream, but I think we're now starting to see there's such a thing as too a la carte with the TV, and I think it sounds like HBO Max is proving it. Like, we've become maybe a little too segmented, or we have to just keep getting more laser focused if we're going to have all of these services. Because, yeah, like you just talked about, having this could cancel out a couple other things you have. Like, I'm paying twice to watch the same show.
Yeah. I think the folly here is that everyone thinks that they're going to... that they're looking at Netflix like Netflix is replacing a cable channel, right? And it's not. It's replacing all of the cable channels. All of the different companies that are making different products for all of the, 100 and whatever cable channels that you used to subscribe to through the box. All that is now condensed into one app plus more, because it's pulling in material from all over the world.
Yeah, when I first cut the cord.
So it's like digital cable with like 1,000 channels, but all on one app. So if Netflix does become that and maintains that, then where do you fit in, right? You're now the competition if you think that you're going to do what Netflix does. That means that you'd want to supplant Netflix. So they're not looking at it as like a coexisting thing. And eventually, like, Netflix is not going to last forever. It's a giant that is eventually going to move so slow that it won't be able to keep up with the content that people want to see. And it's going to be a dinosaur of a library. Probably still a good repository for a lot of fine shows, but it's not going to be the behemoth that it is now forever. And the writing's on the wall with it's been tossing money just out the window and at every project and then walking away from it after 2 years, left and right. And it's been seriously disappointing some fans of really good shows. All that to say, like, Time Warner's going, like, how do we get our own Netflix? Instead of how do we find an audience with the material that we have, and how do we model it so that people will be willing to pay us $10 a month or $15 a month to watch all this shit?
And it
has to be a more curated experience, right? The bigger success stories, I think, like, certainly, a lot of people are going to move over to HBO Max, but that's just because a lot of people were subscribing to HBO. And it would be stupid to pay the same amount for less content. Disney's Disney. They've always had that mystique that people are going to buy into. But in general, the more successful stories of cord-cutting companies are, well, first of all, there are a lot of the ones like Tubi and Pluto that have the traditional cable model of here's a bunch of shit and here's some commercials with it, but they're also modeling that on it's also free. They've been really successful, as have been those that tend to curate their content more. Like, what's the Shudder is one of them that does just horror and sci-fi stuff, Mm-hmm. And they're having great success. They're curating specific content for an audience that they know they either like, hey, we know that people like this movie, and here's some other stuff that we think they might like if they liked this movie.
Some could say some could call that a network.
Yes, exactly. And that's
following
the
a
thing.
Format.
Like, in the traditional model of cable, you had, networks that curated content and got really popular. Like, we remember seeing Comedy Central, the Comedy Channel, turning into Comedy Central, turning into the giant that it is now. The thing that actually, like, damn near supplanted SNL. And it was successful not because like Netflix, they built an algorithm that went, oh, he likes this show, he's going to like this one, because it also has women with glasses and brown hair.
Right.
And instead, it was people making decisions, going like, hey, people are liking these movies. How can we get more content like this? How can we appeal to these customers? Actually thinking about your customers. See, that's why the writing is on the wall for Netflix. They're trying to do everything based on the algorithm, and it's starting to fail them already. I mean, it's a numbers game for Netflix. Netflix is the guy that goes out to the bar and tries to get every number he can because he knows one of them is going to say yes. It just has to.
Because there has been lately, there has been a couple things I'm like, really, Netflix? You're sure I was going to like this? Because I do not like this.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's not always right, Sometimes Netflix picks the show that likes to slip the finger up the butthole. And you're like, I thought we talked about this. I'm just not into this shit. But when you're not picky, you're going to get some fingers slipped into your butthole.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That's what I feel like right now. I'm talking absolute nonsense.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
At Jewelers Mutual, we're a little obsessed with jewelry. Obsessed like auctioneers with talking fast.
50, we're going to
pop stars with auto-tune. And dentists with asking questions.
How did he propose?
After they've put their hands in your mouth.
Great.
Yes, we've made jewelry our obsession for over 100 years. We love it so much we named our kids Ruby, Amber, and Opal.
Venti soy latte for Opal?
At Jewelers Mutual, we insure jewelry and only jewelry, which is why people who are also obsessed with jewelry trust us with theirs.
Of all the streaming services out there, only one is different. Discovery Plus. It's the greatest collection of real-life entertainment on the planet. 55,000 episodes of food, love, true crime, home, from networks like TLC, HGTV, and tons more. Yes! With stars like Chip and Jo, an exclusive new series from 90 Day Fiancé, all in one place. Bam! Discovery Plus. Stream now. Stream what you love.
Me, but also you. The Pharaoh fast forwards his favorite foreign film, Powder Donut. Okay, what's my line?
The only line I see here on the script is get options based on your budget with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive.
Oh man, that's a tongue twister, huh? I'm sorry, I'm gonna need a few more minutes. Bulbous Walrus, the Bulbous Walrus.
The Name Your Price tool, only from Progressive.
The owl ran afoul of the comatose coxswain.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Imagine the greatest collection of real-life entertainment on the planet, all in one place. Go ahead, dare to stream with Discovery Plus. Stream now. Stream what you love.
ChristopherMedia.net. The Weedsman Podcast.
I guess I smoked this whole fat joint full of roaches and whatever the fuck they stuffed in
I guess it does work.
Eventually it started working.
Maybe it's Creeper. Maybe that's why. Remember Creeper?
It's impossible for anyone to know because I've also been hitting my my vape cart that I just got today. So I don't have a tolerance built up to this cart yet either.
Because remember back in the day,
yes,
Creeper back in the day, you'd smoke a joint and be like, man, this is some bullshit. And then 20 minutes later, you're like, wait, never mind.
Yeah. Back when there was like a lot more variance and potency of cannabis. Mm-hmm. You know, you could get some shit, some dog shit, and you can get some really good shit. And now it's just like, you can get some great shit or you can get some like out of this world shit.
Yeah, you get
that's pretty much it.
Glowing green like kryptonite.
Yeah. And the stuff that, like the super top shelf shit, is probably just going to make you pass out anyway. So you're like, why am I getting that shit?
Yeah, I don't buy that shit anymore. When I first got my card, I would. But now it's like, no, like, I told you, like, for the show, I'd buy the bottom shelf shit, and it was fine for us. Like, buying essentially the pop-off weed at the dispensary that I go to. And
that's why I'm talking about. That's why this shit blows my mind, because I know, like, I've smoked plenty of these PRs of Shake. We smoked them week after week on the show, and I would get just blasted on this shit. I've never looked at you and went, really? What is this shit?
Yeah.
So, yeah, for them to be serving this type of dog shit, I'm like, what kind of two-bit operation you got going here? But I don't know. I guess we should talk a little bit more about cannabis before we wrap up.
Yes.
Like, there were not a lot of topical things. You know, it's just like I said last week and the week before, this is all regional stuff. Everyone's different. You know, some places have been shut down this whole time and are only now opening up. We've been lucky enough to have curbside service for the totality of the pandemic, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I've been able to get weed the entire time. Having a medical card, curbside delivery. There's been no disruption in my supply.
Yeah. And certainly on the legislative side, there's bigger fish to fry, like figuring out how we're going to keep everyone from dying and being homeless. So
right.
I get it. You know, weed goes on the back burner a little bit. But it doesn't mean it's not an issue in this year's presidential election.
Yeah,
and
I keep forgetting that's going on this year.
Yeah, that's going to happen this year. Yes. Remember, this year where so far nothing has gone right. Nothing has gone right. A kitten was born with two faces, everyone cooed over it for 2 days on social media, and it fucking died and broke everyone's heart. And we're like, this is just 2020. This is what 2020 is, right? So nothing goes right in 2020. Nothing's going to go right in 2020. And we're going to elect the next president for the next 4 years. So just keep that in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
And, and this is also, the president where we're like, yeah, he's racist, but, not as racist. So it's okay to vote for him. Right? I mean, it's hyperbolic. I want to talk about Joe Biden, and I don't want to say that he is racist because I don't believe that. I think he's old-fashioned, and he might say some things that sound racist, but I don't think that he actually has racist beliefs. I don't. But for him to tell a black person that they're not black, that's racist, right? It's just, there's not really a way around that.
Yeah, when I saw
his
that,
comment was straight up racist.
When I saw that, I was like, you know what black people love? When white people tell them how black they are.
Yeah.
Especially when they're elderly.
Right. He might as well call them high yellow.
Right.
Seriously. That was some pretty fucking racist shit that you did. But I kind of understood what he meant to say, and what he probably should have phrased better. I agree with the sentiment that I don't know. I would hope that I would never vote based on my own race, but who knows? If I was black, I might feel strongly that no, I want to see more black people represented, and I'm going to vote based on that, but I don't know. And you know what? I didn't want to get into the racist shit. I didn't. The whole reason I brought up Joe Biden was actually to talk about weed, because it's kind of unfortunate that he had that interview with Charlamagne and God.
I saw something on my Google News. Didn't he say something nutty about weed?
It's the thing. Everything he says comes off kind of nutty. So I don't think he didn't necessarily say that. So the headline I saw was that. Let me get ahead of myself here. In the interview that he had with Charlamagne the God, it ended really poorly when he told him that he wasn't black enough.
Yeah.
And previous to that, they had a really great conversation. And in that conversation, they talked more than Joe Biden's talked with anybody that I've seen about cannabis and legalization. He's been kind of sidestepping the issue a bit. He doesn't. He thinks that he doesn't believe in sending people to jail for it, but he doesn't believe that it's full-on legalization.
Isn't he a gateway drug guy? Wasn't he still saying that as recent as a couple years ago?
He did recently. I think he's backed off the gateway shit. But he justifies the stance of saying, we should have it decriminalized and we shouldn't send people to jail for it and we should study it more, but I'm not for full-on recreational sale to adults. And he's justifying that based on what he told Charlamagne the God is, I know a lot of weed smokers. And
okay.
I think I've heard him say, he said this before too. Well, he's saying he knows a lot of weed smokers and they agree with him on this. They don't want it legal. I'm like, yeah, you know a lot of rich white weed smokers who don't care if it's legal or not because they're not going to fucking jail over it.
Yeah.
Your lawyer buddy who gets some great shit shipped in from California is not going to be busted for it. And if he is, he's not going to see a lick of jail time or any significant fines. It's not going to disrupt his life in any way if the police find him with this, if they even do, which they probably never will, because he won't get pulled over in his fucking Jaguar. So yeah, Joe, the people that you usually hang out with who are weed smokers, I get it. I'm not making judgments on your lifestyle. He's a successful politician. He seems to make a decent amount of money. I'm sure he hangs out with high-powered people who make more money than I'll ever see in my life. I would expect that. I'm not making judgments on that. I'm saying that don't make all of your decisions based on your immediate friend group, because we're trying to make decisions. We want to put you in charge for making decisions for the country, not just your friends. And we get it. Your friends don't care if it's legal or not, because they're not affected by its legality.
And your friends are also all baby boomers, Joe.
It's all these black people that you expect to go out and prove their blackness by voting for you. Those are the people that are going to be affected by it and care deeply about whether they can smoke cannabis in their own home and not be harassed by the cops, or not have to worry, just can I get it from the dispensary to my house without being pulled over and a cop harassing me over this shit.
Well, at least it made Tara Reid go away. Everyone forgot about Tara Reid, started focusing on this.
People wanted to forget it. They're like, oh my God, thank God.
Yeah.
Yes, please, let's focus on how racist he is. Let's talk about that. Right?
Rather,
that's the crazy thing that we're asking, the decision that we're asking to make this year. Like, yeah, he's kind of racist, right? Not as much as Trump, though. So what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Do you want the actual racist or just the guy who talks like a racist?
Like, we'd rather have racist than rapist. You know,
Right.
It's easier for us to process.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, racist.
Well, right. Well, no, absolutely they'd rather deal with racist than rapist. You're absolutely right, because they can't, an apology doesn't work, right? And what do? Like, prove that you love women or something? Like, what, I should hug them more? Like, look, I'm hugging a woman, you know? Like, racist is easy. He hires some black people. He gets his picture seen shaking some black people's hands. Yeah. He has some he gets Kanye West or some celebrity to hang out with him and get his picture taken. And he goes on, another talk show and has his little apology tour. And he's a fucking Democrat, right? And again, I don't think that people really believe Joe Biden is racist. I don't know that you accept the vice presidential position under Obama if you're actually racist, but who knows? Hide
in plain sight,
right? Yeah, maybe. I mean, the problem, I don't think. The thing is, Joe Biden's comment didn't illuminate for me, and I think a lot of other people, a problem with Joe Biden. It brought to light the bigger problem with the Democratic Party. And that Joe Biden gets that attitude of, you ain't black if you ain't voting for me, from his party.
Yeah.
I don't think that's part of his personality. He's getting that he's doing the Trump thing where he's saying the quiet parts out loud.
Right.
Right? When Trump says, I don't think that we should let the boat full of sick people land here, because then it's going to make it look like we have more sick people in America. And he says this in a press conference, and everyone backstage is going, he wasn't supposed to say that. That was a private conversation that we were having. I thought we understood that. So, yeah, Joe Biden was just doing that thing.
You're not supposed to read the part in parentheses.
Right, yes. He was reading the stage directions.
Yeah.
He's like, next question, walk over to flag and hug it.
Yeah.
So
good times.
Anyway, I guess, to get back to weed before we wrap up, Joe Biden, he did talk about how he thought that nobody should go to jail for a drug crime, right? Not just cannabis. He says nobody should be going to jail for a drug crime. This is his quote. Period. Nobody.
Drug crime that's open-ended, Joe.
No, I think that's intentional. He is talking in general about drugs. He's talking about rehab versus incarceration for drug abusers.
Yeah, because I'm saying, like, you got some weed on you, you got
Addicts.
some pills on you, yeah. But I'm saying, like, you've been pushing weight for the last 25 years.
Well, hold on.
That's also a drug crime.
Let me read his full quote then. No one should be going to jail for a drug crime, period. Nobody, no matter what the crime, particularly marijuana, which makes no sense for people to go to jail. So the whole quote in context, you understand that he's talking specifically about all drug crimes. All drug crimes would mean that.
What if you intentionally sell fentanyl?
Right. Yeah.
I call that murder.
Right.
But you could also call it a drug crime, Joe. Like I said, that's pretty open-ended.
Well, not to parse his language too much, but yes, he's talking about drugs in general, then specifically says, especially marijuana. It costs less to put people in a drug rehabilitation program than it does in jail. I think what he means to say there is that it costs less to put them in a rehab program than it does to actually jail them.
Yeah.
Although, then on top of that, what are you going to do when you jail that person? If it's for a drug crime, they're going to be going to rehab as well. They're going to be going to rehab inside of jail. But we're going to be paying for both of those.
Well, to say,
so can't we pay for the one that actually keeps the person out on the streets while they go to rehab, makes them be able to maintain a job, maintain a life, keep one foot in fucking society? Because as soon as you remove that person from society, their whole life changes. Their priorities change. What they're going to do to survive changes. And not just for the period of incarceration, for the rest of their fucking life. And if they get out and they want their life to be different, then they have to actively force themselves to make a change to not be that person anymore.
I'd also argue if this leads to more government-funded rehab, then it probably ends up being the same amount eventually, because that's what the government does.
Yeah, but even if it's the same amount, it's still a net benefit. Because like I said, you have people who are still able to contribute to society.
I agree.
Those people are paying taxes as well as getting the government-funded rehab.
Still be allowed to vote, all that stuff.
They're contributing to society, and they have a chance to actually do something with their lives and not have every decent employer look at them sideways because they have a drug conviction on their record. So, yeah, I mean, not to knock Joe completely. I get it. He's not full on the legalization, whatever. He's not saying anything about the states that are doing it right now. So we could guess that if he's president, we can see the same expansion. Maybe it'll stop at a certain point and there'll be states that'll just be holdouts. They'll never have a recreational program. But that's fine with me. We have different liquor laws. We have areas where you can't buy liquor at all.
Man, this whole conversation just made me realize, and I switched to indica for the first time in a while. We have one guy who's going crazy and doesn't care, and one guy who's going crazy and doesn't know it. Those are our choices this year. Or I should say one guy who's losing it and doesn't care, and one guy who's losing it and doesn't know it are our choices.
I don't know.
At least this election cycle, we live in Michigan where weed is legal.
Yeah, just don't fuck with what we have so far, right? Let this market expand and settle down a little bit, and I'll be fine. I want to support it. I want it to be successful. So I'm.
Well, I don't think Big Gretch is going to get stolen for VP anymore. She said a couple of things in the last month or so that's probably made Joe look at other people.
I wonder. Well, I mean, really, their scandals are so ridiculous. Her husband tried to get his boat in the water.
Yeah, and
okay. Rich, keep going with that. Third day in a row, Fox, you're going to report on how her husband made a call to try and get his boat under the water and during quarantine. Oh my fucking God!
But the whole thing, she was telling us to stay home when he was doing that. But
oh yeah, I get it. But I get the hypocrisy, but on the hypocrisy meter, that barely registers. Especially when you have it set to politician.
Well, also it's one day. One day you talk. It doesn't need to go many days. But I was talking with Rich and I in the regimental last night. I was talking about she said it was a joke. I am married. I heard how she explained how she thought this was not a joke. That was the wife tone when she was making that speech. When she's talking about her husband's failed attempt at humor. I was like, no, he did that shit. I am married. He is in trouble. I can hear it in her voice.
So she said that. I didn't know she said that about his.
Yeah, she said it was my husband's failed attempt at humor. That's how she tried to explain it away. Right. I was like, oh no, I'm married. I can hear it.
Oh, he's
doing
shit. his morning shock jock routine again. He's going to prank call the marina. See if he can get his boat in the water. Know what I mean? Oh, really? How about if I was Arnold?
Right?
I'll come over there and punch my fist down your throat if you don't put my boat in the water.
I'll have to ask you a bunch of questions.
Yes.
I don't have them answered immediately. He's got a soundboard.
Well, yeah, but also she's not black. I think that's what's going to hurt her for Veep now, because after Biden's, unfortunately racist gaffe on Charlemagne the God's show, I think he's going to pick a black Veep.
Yeah, but we didn't learn from Hillary. You have to middle class whitey. You got to chase middle class white vote.
What is Biden?
What do you think Hillary was? But I guess Bill was telling her like you were not chasing the same people that I was chasing. I mean, that's how he got elected twice.
It's true.
She thought wrong show. Let's stop.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Bill would have never gotten away with saying basket of deplorables, and Hillary didn't.
Well, Bill wouldn't have said it. That's the difference between the two of them.
Yes, he wouldn't have said it.
He'd have spun it in some other folksy bullshit that we would all ate up with a spoon.
Yeah, but you're right. Different show. Which, speaking of, I heard a rumor that show might be coming back after its recent hiatus.
Oh, yeah?
If you're a fan of Unregimented, one of our other Christopher Media shows here.
Rich and I did a show last night. It was,
there you go.
You picked a good one to sit out.
Why?
Just with all the stuff that's going on right now. There's a lot. With all the current headlines. But yeah, it's back. We're back. Life shut up for a while. Hey, we put out a lot of content the first 8 weeks of quarantine, people. So back off.
Yeah, I can hear you judging me over the internet. Stop it.
But thanks for listening, and we are at the Weedsman 420 on Twitter, at the Weedsman Podcast on Instagram. I've tried to do that on Twitter, but I was reminded there's a limit on Twitter. The Weedsman Podcast is too long for a Twitter address. So the Weedsman Podcast at ChristopherMedia.net. If you want to email us,
is it just one letter to could you just do Da Weedsman Podcast?
Da Weedsman Podcast.
Yeah, that loses a letter right there.
I'm trying to. What's it? The Coolio video, Da Crib, Da Beach.
Yeah,
it had the map.
Yeah.
Da Weedsman Podcast. Go to ChristopherMedia.net, hit the Amazon banner when you're ordering stuff online till the end of time. That's how you can help us out without spending any extra money. And, where you listen to us, it's more like where can't you listen to us. We had all these podcasts are starting to limit themselves to one platform. We say nay. We say wherever you can get a podcast, we want you to hear us. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Spreaker.com, ChristopherMedia.net, Stitcher, the iHeartRadio app. Anywhere you can get a podcast, that's where we're at. That's always how it's going to be. For now.
I mean, we say nay until somebody says $100 million.
Yeah, Spotify wants to give us a $100 million check. You will just hear us on Spotify.
It's not impossible that we could go exclusive to a platform. I just don't see it happening in the future.
But until then, thanks for listening and stay high.
Stay high.
If you look around, you'll see the world can be pretty smart. Okay, very smart. At Capella University, we think education should be smart too. That's why we're reshaping online learning with our FlexPath format. You can set your own deadlines, take classes at your own pace, even leverage your previous experience to move faster. So when it comes to earning your bachelor's degree, you know what kind of choice to make. A smart one. Visit capella.edu to learn more. Capella University. Don't just learn, learn smarter.
There's a new Home Depot now open on Maurice Avenue in Maspeth. And as home improvement projects go, this is a big one. Use the product locator on our app for an in-store map to find what you need fast. And check out our new pickup lockers. They make online shopping a breeze. Of course, one thing's not new, our everyday low prices. The Home Depot, now open near Maurice Avenue and Long Island Expressway in Maspeth. And always open at HomeDepot.com. The Home Depot, how doers get more done.
The Weedsman Podcast.
ChristopherMedia.net.